And welcome to Films with the Women in My Life. My name is Brennan, and joining me tonight is my work friend Jess. Jess?
Hey.
Hey, indeed. And tonight we will be recording our review of Cold Pursuit, the new Liam Neeson film. And it is directed by a man named Hans Peter Moland. He's a Norwegian director who has directed things I've never seen or heard of, called... And it looks like he hasn't directed anything in a while, but we've got a movie called The Last Lieutenant, Zero Kelvin, Aberdeen, and The Beautiful Country. Like I said, have you seen any of those, Jess? Or heard of any of those?
Nope, never.
Nope.
Are they all Norwegian films?
I am not sure. I mean, he's a Norwegian director. He's worked with Stellan Skarsgård, who's like the old Skarsgård. So like Pennywise, he's part of the Skarsgård clan. Yeah, so that's your director. I'll read a brief synopsis for those of you who don't know. This irreverent comedy, well, we can debate whether or not it's comedy, stars Liam Neeson as Nels Coxman, a family man whose quiet life with his wife, played by Laura Dern, is upended following the mysterious death of their son. Nell's search for justice turns into a vengeful hunt for Viking, played by Tom Bateman, a drug lord he believes is connected to the death. As one by one Viking's associates disappear, Nels goes from upstanding citizen to ice-cold vigilante, letting nothing and no one get in his way. So, based on that synopsis, you can kind of tell it's a traditional Liam Neeson, Taken in the Snow kind of movie.
So we have this running joke. I love the Taken movies. So anything with Liam Neeson in it, we would say, like, this is Taken in the Snow. The commuter was taken on a train. So anything Liam Neeson is taken on whatever setting the movie's taking place.
Yeah, there's the movie. What is it? Nonstop is Taken on a Plane. This is Taken in the Snow. And I think what's different about this one, it's somehow got a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's somehow positive, which for a Liam Neeson action thriller, that's critical acclaim. That's insane. That's more than the original Taken, which I think we both liked. And yeah, I know you liked. But it's not doing great at the box office so far. It's got a budget of $60 million, which I'm gonna say seems a little high. But it's only got 39 at the box office as of right now, with probably only a few weeks left out there. So, kind of a middling February movie, and yet, critically not doing too bad for a Liam Neeson movie. But Jess, what were your initial thoughts after seeing Cold Pursuit?
So I think I was surprised of how funny it was. That was my first initial thought. Like, Liam Neeson is not funny. Actually, he was not funny in the movie. He was just playing his part. I think it was everything around him that ended up being funny.
Yeah, I think, he tries to be a little comedic here. I feel like I've seen him in something comedic, but when he's comedic, it's almost like this is like a parody of himself. Like it's a parody of all of his. He's like a 60-year-old man beating people up. Like it's kind of, it feels like a parody of that. So
yeah, I think he was just doing his job. He had one mission, he was doing it. It just happened to be everything else was just funny around him. It also wasn't as actiony as Liam Neeson was. He did beat up and kill some people, like, per usual. But it wasn't as much as that. There was a lot of more surrounding plot, a lot of characters in this movie, and a lot of moving pieces rather than, good guy, bad guy fighting.
Yeah, I think it's definitely different from his other movies as far as it's a little more self-aware. I think, some of the other characters have some really funny moments. We'll talk about the Native Americans when they come in later. But I think before we talk anymore, we'll say this is a spoiler warning here. If you haven't seen Cold Pursuit and you want to, before hearing our deeper thoughts, please go and see it while you still can. So the way we're going to break this down and how we usually do things, we have 4 major categories we grade off of, and that's plot, characters, visual and sound, and the overall resonance of the film. 1 to 5 rankings on all of those. So just to start with the plot, which we've kind of talked about a little bit, he's a snowplow driver in like this little town called Kehoe. It's like a ski resort kind of near Denver.
Denver, yeah.
Yeah, Denver's like the major city nearby. And I don't know, Jess, what do you give this plot as an overall grade, 1 to 5?
So I gave it a 3.5.
Wow, generous.
What? You gave it a 2?
I went 2.5. It's a very regular plot. The plot is not the thing.
I think the plot, it's something that starts out simple and it just exploded. Like it grew on each other and grew on each other and grew on each other. It wasn't linear. I think it went exponential, and so many conflicts happened that shouldn't have, and it turned into a whole different movie than what you thought it was going to be watching the first maybe like 20 minutes of it.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with you there, is that the tone in the beginning until a scene, so this, I guess we'll talk about the son, as we said in the intro, dies pretty early on in the movie by a forced heroin overdose. A bunch of Tom Bateman's goons, Tom Bateman, who plays Viking, the main antagonist, a bunch of his goons force him to die of a heroin overdose, and like they throw him out of they don't throw him out of the car, they throw someone else out of the car. No, they put him in like a coffee shop in front and like sitting at a table, and then he's just dead there. Like they kind of weekend at Bernie's him and just like leave him at a table, and he's like, oh, you're doing all right, and then they leave him, and then you go to the coroner's office, Liam Neeson and his wife, Laura Dern's character, and they have this weird scene where the guy, he's like stepping on a foot pedal, and it's slowly rising the son's body up, but he just keeps stepping on the pedal, and it's making like this squeaking noise, and everyone's just kind of looking at each other, and that's the first hint that you're like, oh, this is funny? Question mark.
And that's when you're like, okay, this is not your typical Liam Neeson movie. Like there was a lot of artsy scenes and a lot of dry scenes, like dry humor, and yeah, it wasn't what you probably are expecting.
No, not at all. I mean, it was very, very different than most things, and we'll talk about visual and sound a little bit later. I think that was one of the stronger points of the movie for me. But yeah, plot-wise, it kind of bounces around. He's killing off. Liam Neeson's killing off Vikings goons like one at a time, and this is where the plot, after he kills like 2 or 3 of them. Every time he kills one, he throws them down like this river, covered in he like
chicken wire.
Chicken wire. He covers him in chicken wire so that the fish will eat him, or eat the dead body at the bottom of whenever it sinks because of the chicken wire.
Yeah, he really thought this out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, for a guy who's never killed anybody, he's just a snowplow driver. He really knows what he's doing. And then the plot becomes, I'm following it because it's not too difficult, but it comes kind of convoluted when he goes and sees his brother, who is like a former mafia kind of guy. He's clearly got money.
Yeah.
He's got this.
He sees his brother because he has one goal, who is to go up the chain and kill basically everyone to get to the first person that is on the top that kills his son. So that's why. Yeah.
Liam Neeson's character, Nell, I'm just calling him Liam Neeson because that's who he is.
That's who he is.
His character. I mean, does anyone remember his character names from anything? He's just, he's Liam. It's fine. But his whole goal in this is, I think the simplest part of the movie is, he just wants to kill everybody until he gets to the guy who is responsible for his son's death. I mean, that's the whole time. That's his thing. And where it gets convoluted is the head guy of like the cartel, Viking, Tom Bateman's character, and he's awful. He's like just the worst kind of person. He doesn't know who Liam Neeson is, like, because he's like a nobody snowplow driver. He thinks this is some sort of play by the rival mafia, which is a group of Native Americans. Like, they're the Native American mafia versus the non-native. I don't really know what the other mafia is supposed to, Vikings mafia is supposed to be, but the two of them are at odds, and then the brother gets dragged in, and then there's like an all-out fight. Oh, and we didn't even mention the cops. There's these two cops who are chasing them down.
you can tell it exponentially just the whole plot just gets a lot bigger when the real goal is to just kill a person responsible for his son's death.
And I think that's what you that's part of the thing you said at the beginning where it's Liam Neeson's not funny. Everything around him is funny. Is this chain that he started just escalates to involve all these other people, and the plot for all of them gets jumbled, but his goal never changes, and that's I need to
and
kill
the funniest
Viking.
part is he gets tangled in this, and I don't think he really understands everything he really did. But
he has no idea the whole time.
Nor does he care. Like he kind of gets the Indians got involved, but he does not give a shit about that either. His only goal, his goal is linear. Everything else just kind of a web around him.
Yeah, and I think even like, and that's the other characters we've talked about a little bit is the cops. Emily Rossum is like the main cop. She's like the new kid around. People will know her from the lead in Shameless, if anyone's ever seen that. And then her partner is like this old grumbly cop who's just like, oh, the town's quiet and we don't have to do anything.
And you can tell she's new. She's type A. She just wants, I mean, you knew the job, you want to know everything about it and be the best one. That's basically the type A cop she is.
Right, and so I guess, let's talk about the characters some more. What did you think about the characters overall?
There were a ton of characters in this movie. There were a
ton. There were like 50 people that had lines. It was crazy.
So I would have given it a 3, but I gave it a 3.5 because Trevor was so awful it was good. He was a good awful.
Viking, the lead bad guy, I guess.
Yeah, the CEO of Viking, whatever. He was so good at being awful. He pushed it to a 3.5. Otherwise, I probably would have done a 3. But you hate him. Like your skin is just irritated watching him.
Oh, he is just pure douchery. Like he is.
Yes.
So he's like a younger guy. He's probably in his like mid to late 30s. Like he's not like your typical like old withered head of a mafia. Like he's cocky. We haven't talked about his son at all. His son is like just like he's a normal kid. Like
thing.
Yeah, he's just kind of like caught in all this. Like he doesn't really. He's a kid. He's about 8, you think 9, something like that. Like self-aware enough to know what's going on, but not really. Like he gets it's weird, but he just he kind of plays it off. And oh my god, the dad is just so Viking is just so awful. He's just irritating, and he pushes everyone's buttons, and he kills his own people sometimes just for almost seemingly no reason, and like he's just unhinged. Whereas you compare that to, and we get it later, the leader of the Native Americans, White Bull, who is like the old tribe, like he's like an old tribe leader guy, but is also the head of a mafia, and he's much more traditional, like Godfather type head of his crew, and we don't really, you don't really get him till later. But and then it's hard to even talk about all these. I mean, I give the characters a 3 overall, just because the ones that we get that are prominent, Viking, Liam Neeson's character, Emily Rossum's cop character, like we get a good amount, and I feel like I understand who they are. But then there's the gay henchman who no one knows are gay. The brother, we see the brother's wife, the mail order bride. Laura Dern is in it for about 15 minutes before she literally leaves. She leaves a blank note and then is gone. And you thought, didn't you think she was kidnapped, right?
I thought she was taken.
Yeah, we thought she was taken. No, but she's never
left.
Mentioned again. She just leaves. Like he picks up the note on the bed.
The best part was that Liam Neeson didn't even care, think twice, or like blink about it.
No, it didn't affect any motivations. Like his son's dead, now his wife's gone, but like his wife being gone just seemed. It didn't even seem inconvenient. It seemed like it didn't even matter.
Just like cool, she won't nag me and ask where I am anymore. Nice.
Yeah, like it was kind of crazy how little she did in her short screen time, and 2, how little he cared. That it's like, I mean, I didn't care she was gone either.
In the first scene, they seem like a family because she's, and they live like so remote. Like, when we say snow, it's like feet and feet of snow. So they're remote. They really have no neighbors, no town, and it's just her cooking dinner, and he comes home, and they're eating together. So you think they're like a close knit family, but it all changes once the sun dies.
Yeah, once the sun dies, and they seem. The two of them seem to get along fine. We get the sense that Liam Neeson's character is like a quiet guy, he doesn't talk much. Like, I think at the first scene we see him, Laura Dern's like, you gonna talk tonight? And then he's like, oh, maybe, I don't know. Like, it's that kind of thing. Like, they've been, you can tell they've been together a while, and it's not bad. It's just kind of like, it's just kind of blah. Like, the whole thing is just kind of blah with his wife. But I think I really like the cop character, though. Emily Rossum's cop, who has like a boyfriend in like the old town she used to work in, and leads on to get information on the mobsters. She's the only one trying to actually solve the case who's like on the outside.
And I kind of like the other cop better.
Oh, the bum?
Yeah. You're just like, yeah, leave it alone. They'll settle on itself, let things be. You're trying too hard.
Oh, really? That's the thing, though. He totally is that guy. He's just like, you kid, you're trying to clean the town up. Town's pretty clean, like, and we see early.
Exactly.
Early,
so, like, the first scene, a kid is just, smoking weed, and Emily is just all up in arms, ready to arrest him, and then the other cop is like, "This is what people come here to do. What do you?"
Yeah, it's like, it's a mountain town. People, I guess the only business they ever have is like a ski resort nearby. We should say Emily Rossum's character's name is Kim Dash, not that. We're calling them by their actors' names because other than, I think, Viking, you don't really remember anyone's name. But then also all of Viking's goons get lines. Like, they all, like, the first guy Liam Neeson kills is in like a strip club bar, and he kills him in like a service elevator. Like, I don't really know what's happening there. Like, is he getting kicked out? Is he... And it's kind of like that with a lot of them. He kills a guy in a suit
Speedo.
tailor store.
That was Speedo.
Speedo, yeah. Oh my God, the name. Yeah, what are some of the other names?
You can't talk about the people without their elaborate names. Speedo, yes. Limbo, and Santa.
Who's Santa? The guy who doesn't look like Santa, even though his only description is his name's Santa. Like, and that he somehow finds the guy. But the guy doesn't. He's just a bald fat guy.
He just has a beard. That's it. Not
but
even a white beard.
Yeah, it's not like a white fluffy beard. It's just
beard.
Yeah, it's just like a scruffy, dirty beard. Like, there's nothing about him that says Santa. And I feel like but the brother. How'd you feel about the brother character?
Oh, I loved him.
He's good, isn't he?
Yeah, I really liked him. I was very sad that he died, and he died so honorably too, though.
Oh yeah, so we should say pretty much everyone dies in this. I mean, very few people survive.
We'll probably talk this in visual sound, but the way they die, the way they caption it, I liked it a lot.
Oh yeah, so yeah,
we'll talk about
what do you give that?
Next category. But yeah, he died so honorably. Like, Trevor comes up in his fancy car, and he kind of is like, well, this is the end. This is it. Looks back at his wife, gets in the car, and acts like Mr. Tough Guy, and makes up this story about Trevor's dad hooking up with his lover and how he has cancer. All of that's fake, but he's dying in honor of his brother, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised. Like, I liked it, but like, he's just like so like. I feel like it's partially because he was in the life. I don't get the idea that Liam Neeson was ever a mob guy. Like, he seems like he was the simple guy and his brother was the mob guy. So I feel like he's almost like, well, now that you're involved with this, like, I should have died a long time ago anyway. I got lucky to get out at all. And I think he's just kind of like, it was like a forlong conclusion kind of thing.
He knew it was going to happen, and he didn't want to show any face or any signs of weakness to Trevor anyway.
No, it was, his death, I think, is the most earned, the most honorable. Like, they don't even show him die, I think. Let's talk about some of the visual and sound effects for this, which I think is personally what made me go from thinking it was to thinking it was, I'm actually kind of engaged. I give it like a 3.5, I think.
Yeah, I gave it 4.
Yeah, I think that's the strongest part of this, is that
whenever someone dies, rating too.
Whenever someone dies, you get this little like it's like in this cursive shows up on screen, like it cuts to like a little a title card that has the person's name, their stupid nickname like Speedo or Santa or whatever the fuck it is, and then elbow. Was there an elbow? There was an elbow.
No, but I thought there was gonna be an elbow.
Just all the O's.
Yeah, Cheerio.
Cheerio. But yeah, I mean, that was one of the more artistic choices. I liked any time, and usually I don't love like snow movies, like something about that aesthetic is just boring to me. But anytime they had a shot of him of Liam Neeson's character just plowing into a giant, it was just like it's just an endless landscape of snow. Like there's no road. He's just
10 feet of barren snow.
Like I've grown up around snow, and that is crazy. That I've never seen that. It's just, and the shots like that are really, really good. So I think stuff like that keeps you engaged and like elevates it to, like you said, it's like it's somehow like a comedy, but also more artistic Liam Neeson thriller, which is, it's an odd combination, but that's the part I think that works best here.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, when you think of visual sound, the one of the visuals that really stuck out to me is, like, the depth of that waterfall. Once he threw everybody down there, it didn't show the waterfall all at once. It kind of, like, showed the top, and then you could see how far down that body fell.
Oh, yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, every time he threw a body down, it just shows this, it looks like a never-ending waterfall. And everything around is just like steamy and frozen, and yeah, like shots like that just really. I mean, now I can kind of see why it's $60 million budget, probably crazy shots like that. But
and then there was a couple of just really artistic shots. You can tell that they were just geometrically put together. I think the cars and the buildings, or just the way that they were put. Like there was definitely a little twist to it, not like definitely not a normal action movie.
Right. Yeah, no, very different than what you'd expect, like we said, from the average action movie, especially an average Liam Neeson action movie.
And I don't think there was any music to this at all, like any background music. I can't think of any.
I feel like there was like maybe like this like slow like kind of like, I don't know if it was piano or like an orchestra, but like a really sedated orchestra. Like I feel like that, like when they showed him like snowplowing, there was some sort of like some sort of like ambiance sound, but yeah, there's not like any overt score. I would say it's all very subdued and like, but I think that fits here.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's I mean, I guess that brings us to like the resonance of it all. Like, how do you feel like as far as the overall feel of the movie?
Yeah, Resonance, I gave it a 3. I think with, not like this was like an LOL comedy, but I think any comedies, it's nothing you really think too much about the next day when you're eating breakfast or anything like that. So, I mean, I just gave it a 3. Not to say I didn't like it, I loved it, but nothing really hit home or stung too hard. It was funny. It was very entertaining, I think was how I would put it.
Yeah, I agree with, I don't think this is anything I'll be thinking about in like years to come. Like this is kind of I mean, we saw it just a few days ago, so it's still fairly fresh. But even now, I have trouble recalling some of the specifics.
So many things happened. Like we didn't even mention the kid getting kidnapped and how both parties wanted to kidnap the kid for 2 different reasons. Like there was a lot of things happening in this movie, a lot of characters and a lot of conflict.
Oh yeah, we didn't. You're right. We didn't even mention. So the kid is going to get kidnapped, and the Vikings kid, Trevor's kid, and he thinks it's the Native Americans, and the Native Americans do want to kidnap him, but Liam Neeson gets to him first.
Yeah, and then
but he doesn't really even kidnap him.
Kidnap his kid because Trevor killed the head Native American's kid.
Right. Yeah. Trevor mistakenly kills the main Native American's kid. So like everyone's kids is getting kidnapped or killed. I mean, I'll start with Liam Neeson's kid dying. That's why I said back to the plot. It's so many threads. I mean, yeah, it does lead one to the other, but it's so many things going on.
Yeah, and I don't want you guys to get confused because I think I'm even confused even the way we're talking about it. It's not a confusing movie. Coming from someone who gets confused a lot, it's not. But once you sequentially watch it, it makes sense. It's just there was a lot, but it's not hard to pay attention to either. Like, you can just watch it wholeheartedly and it'll be fine. There's just a lot of stuff going on.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, like, I think that's what I think is, like, yeah, we're jumping all over the place, but that's because you're thinking about one strand and you follow it to the end, and then you go back and you're like, oh, I completely forgot. Like, we didn't mention there was like a bounty hunter guy that Liam Neeson hired, and he stayed at like a cheap motel. We didn't mention him. Like, yeah, the hitman who sells him out, and then for selling him out, Viking kills him. For selling Liam Neeson out, Viking kills the hitman. Like, he's like, it's not honorable. Can't do that. Like, and I'm like, okay, I guess he's gone. Like, it was just like another character to be there. I'm like, the movie was already 2 hours. I didn't think they needed an extra 15 minutes of, here's a guy, oh, he's dead now. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, don't get too close to these characters because they are all going to die.
Oh, yeah. No, I think, characters either disappear, like Laura Dern's character.
Yeah.
Yeah, or it's Liam Neeson. He survives at the end. But yeah, the whole thing climaxes with the Native Americans having like this shootout with Vikings people, and it's pretty typical. Like everyone's getting shot. Viking gets shot, but he doesn't die until the police show up later, and then he dies. Just kind of like movie wise, he gets out his last like utterance or breath or whatever, and Liam Neeson's with like the head Native American guy now in a car. Like that's how it's kind of ending. Is like the two of them are.
I liked the ending a lot. He gets in the car. Yeah. So the main the head Native American guy gets in the car. Liam Neeson just goes back to work. Like that's how it ends.
Yeah, that's really what happened.
Goes back to work, and the two are hesitant of each other just because they killed a shit ton of people. You're not going to trust someone to get in a car with once everyone is just dead. You don't know the weapon's going to turn on.
No, there's clearly a tension.
Yeah, so
everyone's
they are
dead.
kind of like hindering each other's trust, not knowing. But whatever. Liam Neeson goes back to work. The guy gets in the car. He gets comfortable with him. He falls asleep. And he wakes up, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, I forgot I'm here."
Yeah, but at this point, Liam Neeson, like, they're both kind of like, I think the head, what's the head Native American's name?
I can't even remember. I'm just calling him the head Native American.
There's just so many. He's White Bull. White Bull is the main guy. Yeah, exactly. Sure. And Liam Neeson at this point. I think he's gotten what he's came for. Viking's dead, and he's just I'm going back to work. I don't have a wife or a kid anymore. And like I just killed like a dozen people, but I'm I got what I was going for, so back to work. Like that's his whole thing. Oh my god! So I guess as an overall, I mean we jumped around a lot, and that's Jess is definitely right. It makes more sense when you see it through, but when you're trying to go back and remember it all,
it's not confusing. It's pretty. I won't say it's an easy watch, but it keeps you engaged enough where you'll easily just watch through it and laugh through it. It's not confusing at all, so don't think that it is.
No, yeah, like we're jumping all over the place because we're just trying to remember everything. There's just so much happened. It's hard to, if you go in order. I think it's hard to get it all out there. But overall, Jess, is this a movie we would recommend? Would you recommend Cold Pursuit?
Okay, so I think I liked it more than you did. I really enjoyed it.
You did.
Was. I mean, I like Liam Neeson in general. This was above and beyond what I thought it was gonna be like. I like funny and I like Liam Neeson, so it's both of them together.
So compared to the other Liam Neesons you've seen, the Taken series,
I mean, I don't think it's comparable. I think it's definitely different. Because this isn't your typical Liam Neeson. It's kind of just like, you normally order a vanilla ice cream. It's like vanilla ice cream with a twist.
This is the twist cone. This is the twist. This is the swirl.
Yeah, it only limited edition, doesn't come out too often, but get it while you can.
So definitely a recommend for you.
I recommend it. I enjoy it. It's gonna make you laugh. It's a little bit artistic. The plot is all over the place. It's gonna make you laugh, but it's also action. Don't expect Liam Neeson to be funny because he's not. He's doing his job, but everything around him is just hilarious, chaotic, and it flows together. It's not jumpy. Like, you're not going to get bored at some parts. It's a good movie.
And that's the thing. I think you definitely don't get bored. Like, you're kind of and that's I think another one of the greatest strengths is that you are engaged the whole time. But yeah, I mean, I would recommend this as well. Not as strong of a recommend as I think you would, but I think about all the Liam Neeson movies I've seen. I still really like that first Taken. But after that, this might be. I'm not the biggest Liam Neeson movie fan, but after that first Taken, this might be right there. Which again for me is not saying much because I don't love these movies like Jess does. But it's she's right. It's very different. It's tonally different. There's a lot of characters, and some of them are good, and that helps. But I guess who's this for? Who's the audience that's gonna like this movie?
I don't know. I think just folks our age. I mean,
so like 20 somethings kind of thing.
Yeah, because I don't know. I think it might be
It'll do well in
a bit much for the older crowd.
Well, that's the thing is when we saw it, I think we saw with a couple other people in there. It wasn't a very full theater, but I want to say a lot of them were older because maybe they liked the older Liam Neeson movies. But I feel like everyone else in the theater was. There's some people our age and some people older. I think, like the 18 to 35 demographic. This is that target area.
Yeah, and not that there's too many cultural references, but I just feel like it's more
the tone, the style.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's right. Well, good. I think we covered as much as we could with Cold Pursuit. I mean, I feel like we left stuff out, but it's just there's a lot going on in that.
You could talk about this for a long time.
You really could. This you could stretch out. But all right, cool. And we'll have a couple more shows coming down. I don't know if we've decided what the next movie we're going to be reviewing is, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, but there will be a lot in May, because I swear every single trailer we watched before this movie, they were all coming out in May.
Oh yeah, May's got a ton of movies. I know. We should have a Captain Marvel review. I don't know if Jess will be on that one. We might have a different co-host for that one. But
Not my style.
We've got some March and April movies coming up. Like Jess said, May is going to be jam packed. But we'll definitely get some more out in the coming weeks. So thank you everyone for listening and supporting. Jess, thank you as always for being on.
Thank you.
And till next time, everyone, enjoy your movies.
Thanks for listening to Films with the Women in My Life. If you enjoyed being a listener in our life, subscribe to us on iTunes. Please leave a review as it helps more people find the show. Like us on Facebook at Films with the Women in My Life, follow us on Twitter at FilmsWomenPod, and check out our website, filmswiththewomen.libsyn.com. That's filmswiththewomen.libsyn.com. Original music for the show was created by Ian Burke. Original artwork created by Nicole D'Alessio. This show is produced by Brennan Snyder. Thank you again for listening and enjoy your movies.